Okay, Danny.
Hi.
Hello. Can you introduce yourself to us before I start asking you all these questions that we've got out in front of us?
Absolutely. I'm Danny Bridgeman, and my job, my pleasure, my passion is to teach movement, predominantly movement, natural movement, healthy movement, conscious movement. Now, this comes in many forms. I started out as a martial arts teacher when I was 15. It's quite a long time ago, over 30 years ago. And then I went to study officially health and fitness at Farnborough. That was 4 years. Science and management of health and fitness. Became a personal trainer. This was about 92, 93. And that was aerobics, step aerobics, boxercise, all that kind of 90s stuff. Spinning. I've also trained in Pilates with 4 different Pilates schools. Been a Pilates teacher now since 99, so about 20 years. And for 10 years, I've been a yoga teacher. So my background is teaching movement. Now, part of my health and fitness training at Farnborough Tech was dietetics. So I've always had a fascination in nutrition. And I'm not a nutritionist, but it's my passion to study that. And I can't be a good trainer without having a bit of knowledge about food. Another part of my training at Farnborough, just for an hour a week for 4 years, was psychology. So I'm also really interested in how the mind, how our expression, how we perceive ourselves is also related to how our body functions. So movement teacher predominantly, passionate about nutrition, interested in psychology and mind. So that's, as a whistle stop, what I'm into.
Okay, thank you. So I know you, Danny, and I know how important you view the mind, and you've just said about the psychology. I know how important, well, I suppose the mind is for exercise, but also exercise is for the mind. Over the years, maybe it's just my age and through growing up, or maybe it is something that's changing move forward, but exercise maybe used to be considered for weight loss, but now there's a real heavy focus on how important it is for the mind, actually maybe more so than weight. So can you just tell us why, in your experience and with your great knowledge, exercise is so important for us?
Yeah, sure. So our mind is very sophisticated. It can very easily be tomorrow or next year or in 10 years' time. It could be in the past. Exercise works the body. The body is forever present. So to get more here, to be more grounded, more embodied, working out, feeling your muscles, doing the squats, doing the running, feeling your heartbeat, feeling your breathing, automatically brings you into the richness of the moment. So in terms of calming the mind or calming emotions or stilling the mind, there are many practices. We could meditate, we could do yoga, relaxation. The conscious exercise, I think, is one of the great ones. So not only are you landing in your body and feeling the moment, but you're exploring the potential of your capacity. So we're looking, when we work out, to build the body, to maintain our strength, to maintain our integrity, to work on our posture. And all of these, and the breathing, of course, all of these bring us naturally into the moment. And in my opinion, when we fully land in the moment, when we experience the moment, we are most at peace. We are most calm. We are most psychologically relaxed. So in times of psychological stress, in times of busyness, that's exactly when to go out for a walk, or get out your dumbbells, or get out your TRX and do some suspension training or something. So it's a great tool to, in a nutshell, bring you to your body, bring you to the moment, to calm the brain waves, to calm the nervous system. Now that does depend on what training you're doing. If you're doing some interval training that I love, for a moment, your cortisol will rise a bit. But then in the coming hours, you release that and that will come down. That should lower our stress hormones. So yeah, there's many studies on brain health and strength training and the gut health related to working out and how that calms our psychology. But for me and my clients and from my experience, you always feel better after a workout. You always feel centered after a workout. And then, of course, as that fades away, stress and other things may come in. And that's when, again, you might come back to your other practices of mindfulness and your sort of work. And I think you're going to ask me a little bit, which we could segue into, about the forms of exercise.
Yeah.
Do you want me to carry on and talk a little bit about that, or do you want me to elaborate a bit more on the psychology of movement?
Just picking up on something you said there, you said when you're in a stressful moment, or when you're feeling some perhaps negative energy or emotion, that's the time to exercise. So would you recommend then having an exercise routine, if you like, where you maybe get up at 7 every morning and do an hour of exercise, or you do it at midday, or whatever you do, but you have a rhythm to it and a plan in place, or is it more about exercising when you feel the urge, or is that different personalities? Are there some people who may find it easier to just go out when they feel like it, others who need a plan? What do you see in your work is the best?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. There are some people who need a routine. Now, for me personally, I find that if we're too strict with our workouts, if we're too strict with our diet, it's going to come back and bite you in the backside at some point, because it's hard to adhere to it, and you let yourself down if you miss your workout or you have a bad day of food. So I'm not a fan of being too strategized. Like you said, at 7 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you go for your run or something. I think there's some fundamental basics of exercise. Now, there are 3 forms, generically speaking. We've got flexibility work and suppleness and stretching. We've got cardiovascular fitness, and we've got strength training. As an individual, we need to strike the right balance of those 3 things. Some people are really strong. They hit the gym, they do the press-ups, but they're stiff as a board and not very flexible. Other people do lots of steady-state, long-distance cardio, and they're pretty supple. They take yoga, but don't have much strength. So what we're looking to strike is a balance. For me personally, intense exercise, which comes in 2 forms. One is slow strength training and one is high-intensity interval training. The hormonal, the metabolic, the psychological, the physical benefits are actually very similar. One is super slow. For example, you've got your dumbbell and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or you're doing a squat, 5, 4, 3, 2. So really slow strength training, or it's super fast. The physical benefits, the physiological benefits, and the hormonal adaptations, the positive hormonal adaptations, are virtually the same. So for dynamic exercise, I recommend 2 to 3 times a week. For me, I would probably do 2 strength training workouts, 20 or 30 minutes, push-ups, some abdominal work, some squats, some lunges, some back raises, a whole body workout. Then probably 1 time a week an interval session, running in place, getting some dumbbells and working really fast, some burpees, some jumping press-ups. So that would be about 3 times a week, something like 20 to 40 minutes of dynamic exercise, whether it's super slow stuff, the super quick stuff, or a combination of the 2.
Can I just butt in? This dynamic exercise, this is something I've heard quite a lot recently. Is this a new thing, some latest research, or has dynamic exercise always been a thing? And can you describe to us what you mean by dynamic exercise?
Sure. So in terms of our ancestry, and as our primal ancestors, caveman, cavewoman, there was no gym. There was being chased, there was chasing. We were sprinters and hunters. We would climb, we would throw, we would swim, we would scramble, we would wrestle. We did not sit down in a gym and do a bench press on a linear machine. We did not walk on treadmills. We did not ride bikes. So our primal movement is natural for us. Dynamic training has been around as long as humans. Sprinting, powerful movements, lifting rocks, wrestling with bears. So no, it's not new. It's not a fad. It's in our DNA. Going into a linear building, onto a linear treadmill or a linear yoga mat, and doing a sequence of exercises has taken us away from some of our primal functional movements. When I coach exercise, it's all about related to how we use our body in life. So it's not new. And I'll just repeat that there are two forms of dynamic exercise. High intensity interval training is short bursts of activity, something like 20 to 40 seconds. You would do about 8 rounds, say 30 seconds on, 90 seconds to kick back and relax. 30 seconds on, 90 seconds to relax. 8 rounds of that, your workout's done in about 16 minutes. That's it. And you might have to warm up and warm down 25 minutes. I never spend more than 25 minutes working out myself. The other form, it's still called the same. High intensity interval training is super slow. Again, the metabolic, the physiological benefits, the hormonal benefits are very, very similar. And that's when you work out really, really slow. The steady state stuff, the no man's, no woman's land in between, steady state running, steady state rowing, cycling, it's okay. I think it's very good psychologically, very good for the mind to clear. But in terms of the benefits physically and the impact, it falls short of those other two forms. Super slow, super quick. We don't need the middle ground as much. Having said that, I'll qualify that with taking a walk for half an hour to an hour a day is great. I'd prefer someone to walk every day for say 45 minutes and work out 3 times a week intensely for 25 minutes. Then I'd recommend running for an hour a day.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say about walking, because I read a study not that long ago, and it was about steps, because you know people buy these Fitbits, and I believe, I don't have one, but I believe they're preset to 10. You know, the target is 10,000 steps a day. And I read that they've actually done some research into this, and they found that people who walk, I think it was 7,500 steps a day, have been shown to live longer. But beyond 7,500 steps, there's not a benefit. So what you're saying, you know, and I don't know how long 7,500 steps is. I don't know how long a walk that would be.
Not sure.
But you know, it's not quite as great as this target of 10,000. But the what you're saying actually sounds quite manageable. You know, a workout of maximum 20-25 minutes, of which quite a substantial part is actually resting.
Yes.
And so the actual bit that you're working out is it's
4 minutes.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, it's 4 minutes with the intervals. If you're doing super slow strength training, you'll probably do 8 rounds of exercise where there's no rest. You do a set of squats on the left leg. Takes about 90 seconds. Set of squats on the right leg. You go straight to bicep curls. Other arm, straight to shoulder press. About 1 minute to 2 minutes. Straight to other shoulder press. Straight to your press ups. When you do strength training, ideally there's 0 rest. So again, it does depend on the form of exercise you're doing. But the interval training, 30 seconds on, 90 seconds off, that's 16 minutes. 4 minutes is HIIT exercising. I probably do 4 minutes of cardiovascular work a week, and that maintains my fitness.
So exercise can be quite daunting, I think, for some people when they feel like they've got to go and kind of run for an hour or do push-ups for an hour or something, you know, quite a long time of maybe feeling in, you know, discomfort. But it's actually very manageable what you recommend. And
it is, and it depends on the goal. Some people are looking to relax minds. Some are looking to lose weight. Some are looking to gain weight. Some are looking to build strength. Now, if the goal is to get overall more healthy, to optimize weight, to have a more functional body, there's an old saying that an athlete's results are 85% nutrition and 15% training. And I fully believe in that. Whatever our goal is physically, if we don't get the metabolic rate correct from our dietary intake, the right amount of foods, the correct foods, then we're not fueling. I think it's something like, I mean, you can't out-train a bad diet, basically.
Yeah.
So if you did run an hour a day and then did a 20-mile bike ride the weekend, but you had lots of processed foods and sugary foods and high flour type carbohydrate foods, you're always chasing that. So ideally, when we're looking to improve the strength of our body, the fitness of our body, our posture, our flexibility, it's also related to an anti-inflammatory diet. So that's a big part of it. You don't need that much exercise. I mean, I'm probably the same strength, how many chin-ups and press-ups I can do and hitting a punch bag or something as I was 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. At my prime, in my early 20s, it's probably the same now as it was then. And I train 2 or 3 times a week for 20 to 25 minutes. That's maintaining my fitness. So I think people can put too much emphasis on exercise, not enough on psychological well-being, on positive mental attitude, on nutrition, on sleep, on general health concepts, and they over-exercise. So yeah, take the pressure off. Build up gradually, but train quite hard for about 30 minutes. Take a couple of days off, recover, maybe even 3 days. Train again. See how you recover. If you've got some sore muscles or you're achy, you overdid it. If you don't feel anything, it's fine. We don't need to feel sore to get benefits. And then see how it goes, and you start to create your own program.
And on those days off, you recommend a walk, a comfortable paced walk, so we're not just sedentary.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the stat I was thinking of earlier, but it wasn't related to nutrition, was that an hour a day's workout is negated by 8 hours at the desk. So if you have a sedentary job and you're sat there on your computer or you're driving a car for a living, then an hour a day's exercise, the benefits from that are completely negated by the sedentary lifestyle. So we've got to get standing desks. We need to move around in our days. And on the off days, when you want some psychological well-being, then yes, you either do the walking exercise, some cross training such as flexibility work, gentle yoga, gentle Pilates, even gentle stretching. When I teach my online Zoom classes, one of the live classes is called mobility. And it's about a 35-minute practice of just postural work, stretching the muscles related to posture. So if we try and stand or sit up straight, but our hamstrings are short, we can't do it. If the hip flexors are short, we can't do it. If the pecs are short, we can't do it. But if we were to stretch out the pectoral muscles, if we were to do some nice gliding moves for the hamstrings, if we were to do some nice lunging moves, gently releasing the hip flexors, stretching calf muscles, releasing the neck, spending 20, 30, 35 minutes mobilizing the body in a very rhythmic, very self-care, very gentle way, then that's what we do on off training. As intense as sprint training can be, and I advise intensity, as intense as the fatigue can be for that last bicep curl when you're really working hard, or that last squat, I think flexibility is the complete opposite. But when we go in for a stretch, let's say I want to stretch my chest muscles because I've got rounded shoulders and I've been typing and my elbows tight and the wrist is tight. What I would not do is hold here for 60 seconds and hold and hold and hold. Holding a stretch in a way is a toning exercise. It's what's called a static contraction, isometric contraction. What I recommend, and you'll see this in any of my videos on YouTube or the website, is a moving stretch. Its flexibility should be kind. So after 10 of these, do we want to do it? Do you want to try a few? Right now? Do you want to give it a go? Okay. Yeah. So you're sat on your chair, your stool, you could stand up. I'm on a stool because I like to swivel around and move around, but it could be standing or sitting. And let's take a moment, perhaps 20 seconds, to do a little bit of body awareness, then we're going to compare the two sides.
Okay.
So you might close your eyes for a moment, so please join in with this. And here's a brief moment, an opportunity to listen to your body, particularly to sense the awareness across from your chest bone to your shoulders, your pectoral muscles. Sense your posture there, your alignment, your comfort. Also, for a moment longer, bring your awareness to your arm muscles, biceps and forearms, and journey down to your hands and just have a sense, an image, a feeling of the comfort, the energy, the awareness of your hands. These are typing and postural muscles we're talking about, and reading and driving and cooking, lots of things, gardening, secretaries we use with these same muscles. Okay, great, thank you. So with eyes open, if we were to just weight shift the body a little bit to the right. Now I might be opposite to you, I'll just do one this way for now. The goal of this exercise, we'll just start with the elbow, is that as you shift your body to the right, your left elbow is starting to go back. And if there was a torchlight on your chest bone, from 12 o'clock straight ahead, it's going towards 1 o'clock. Your eyes, your vision, your shoulders are towards 1 o'clock. 3 o'clock is out to your right, 6 o'clock's behind you. So your torso is going over to the right, but your left arm is going back to, well, that'd be like 7 or 8 o'clock. Then we're going to come back into the center, touch the chest bone, bring your body over to the right, look to your right, but slowly unfold your left arm. And at the end of the movement, stretch your wrist back and span your fingers and thumb. Let's do a couple more. So we slacken, we relax these muscles. Then weight shift to your right a bit, look to your right, stretch open the chest, the shoulder, the bicep, the wrist, the fingers and thumbs, stretch the hand. Let's come back in again, flexion, relaxation, softening. One more time on this side, open up to gently stretch. You can even move the head around a bit, stretch the fingers, come back into center. Shake that arm out briefly. Rest your hands on your lap. Close your eyes for a moment. Let's go back to that opportunity we have all day long at any time to be present with our physical sensations, to listen to form, one of our anchors to the present moment. Notice if you feel a difference in the flexibility, the lightness, the energy, the flow, the awareness in your left side. I don't want to put words into your mouth or your experience, but does the right arm feel a bit shorter? Or does the left arm feel more open and free?
Oh, it definitely feels different. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm talking here. There's other people here who have got their own experiences. But yeah, it's a huge difference.
Should we just do a few on the other side so we're not left lopsided?
Okay. Definitely.
So I'll show this one standing this time, but it's the same thing. So we're going to weight shift the body to the left. So again, if 12 o'clock is straight ahead, you're moving your chest bone towards 11 o'clock, even towards 10 o'clock. It's the right arm that now unfolds. So we started this conversation about flexibility being a self-care practice. It's kindness. You're looking after yourself. I don't think anyone's ever got any more flexible by forcing a stretch. This is looking after the fascia and the nerves, as well as muscles and tendons and cartilage. It's a connective tissue stretch. So again, you're moving your torso a bit to the left and look a bit left. So if you were looking at the screen, come away from the screen for a moment. Spread the fingers and thumbs, stretch the elbow out. Perhaps one more. We've got the slackening, like an elastic band going slack. And then you've got the stretching, the opening. And then you might just take a little bit of a shake out there.
So if you know, someone sat at their desk for the whole day or just sat at home all day, because actually with our lives at the moment in this lockdown period, people may not be working, but they're still potentially, well, they're still going to be just sat at home for the day.
Yes.
So they, you know, they may not be just sat on a sofa, but the likelihood is while we're in this period, many people are going to be sitting for the whole day, regardless of whether they want to be or whether they're working. An exercise like that feels, having just done that now for a couple of minutes, feels like that's something we should do actually many times a day.
Sure. Once an hour, 3 or 4 each side. And there's a comparable version, which you perhaps won't do today, but there's a comparable version for the hamstrings and spine, where you just roll the body, you weave and you flow, as opposed to 56, 57, If you're just holding and holding and holding, the muscles don't mind, but the nerves and the fascia just get irritated. So the body's mostly fluid, and flexibility in human movement. Look at any animal, any child, any athlete in their prime. It's graceful, it's natural, it's flowing. It's not forced. Even in strength training, there can be a grace and a flow to our movements. Even in interval training, we don't have to punish ourselves. Exercise is something to be enjoyed. Find exercise you like. If you haven't found one yet, keep trying. There's something you enjoy. That's not to say we shouldn't do what we're not good at. We should embrace all forms. But ultimately, it's a time to, it really is self-care, even in the more dynamic versions as well.
And so you say about finding an exercise you like. At the moment, again, with us being at home, so you're a firm believer, I know, in bringing everything back to well, caveman times, you know, not needing all of these this technological equipment. So for many of us, the gyms that we use are shut and we can't go there and use all of this equipment. For some people, there's financial restrictions in everyday life to going and using a gym. But right now we're all in the same position and we're all at home. So for people who don't have a gym at the bottom of their garden that they're used to using, or a whizzy bike that they're used to going off for a 20-mile bike ride on, what kind of things can people do at home to keep so a little bit more than the kind of sitting at the desk all day needing to stretch, but obviously not, you know, I don't think either of us like focusing on hard exercise to lose weight, but just something that helps us keep mentally well. Is still able to move around, just all the things that we really want to keep going whilst we're in this situation of having to stay at home.
Well, as soon as lockdown began late March 2020, I had the software and I built a website that offers classes designed to be done at home with minimal space and minimal equipment. I've recorded about 100 in the last 10 months. And it really doesn't take much. Now, the simple things you might have are pretty good Pilates or yoga mat to lie on, but a rug would do. I recommend getting a couple of pairs of different size dumbbells. So if you've got a 3 kilogram dumbbell, which might be your weight for doing some shoulder toning, but it's not heavy enough for biceps, you put 2 in the same hand. So we can do triceps, we can do biceps, we can do squats with these. A lighter pair is great for the speed work. Again, for a few pounds, this happens to be out, this is my teaching studio. For not very much, you can get a stretch band, great for traveling. You can work out everything, you can work these around your glutes for your squats. You can step on it for bicep curls, step on it for shoulder press, more tricep. Again, I've got videos on these all over the place. You can, of course, load up with dumbbells, or you can add more plates to it. Having said that, if you didn't have anything, no equipment, no dumbbells, then there's a huge amount you can do. Again, going back to nature. Our ancestors did not have access to a gym. They didn't need dumbbells. So, for example, just drop the screen down a bit here. We can squat just from where we are. We can squat with a single leg. We can take a squat into an interval, split squat. We could take a regular squat into jumping squats. We could take our routine into some kneeling press-ups. If you have the strength, full press-ups and planks. We could take our routine from the mat into some gentle abdominal exercises. We could advance it. We could advance it. We could advance it. We could take it into some Pilates work, some core stability for the lower back. We could take it into some yoga. We could take it into some lunges. So a mat, gravity, a body, the will, the commitment to do it, we can do this without needing, let's move my screen a bit, without using sophisticated equipment. It really is that simple. It's the commitment. We've discussed time. If you're spending more than 40 minutes, I mean, including warm up, fine, you can get away with an hour. But 30 to 40 minutes, if you've trained intensely, you're done. You can't do anymore because you've done the interval work. My interval training sessions, if I do a long warm up, say it's about 8 minutes, the intervals are 16. Lots of cooling. I can't spend more than half an hour doing intervals, and that is highly effective. Your metabolism is up. Your glycogen stores have been depleted. Your body's hungry for new food. It's a perfect time to boost metabolism, human growth hormone. Same with strength training. Slightly different requirements for refueling, slightly different foods, but I won't spend more than half an hour. And there's one piece of equipment I just mentioned, because there are some deals online at the moment with what's called suspension training. And my favorite is the Cross Core 180. There's also a bit of equipment you've probably seen in the gym called a TRX. And you hook something over your door frame or around a tree, and you hang on to the handles, and you do your pull-ups, and you do your squats, and you turn the other way, and you do your press-ups, and you put your feet in there, and you do your pikes. So look up suspension training. I think you can get a pretty good rig for about £50, and that is a total gym. That is everything you're ever going to need, primarily, functionally, physically. You could even cancel your gym membership. You got it. You got it.
I like, Danny, that you say about putting it around a tree, because I know that you do that. But actually, for people who have a garden, I'm assuming actually you could just take it to the forest and put it around a tree. But if you have your garden even and you put it round and you do then your workout outside, it's giving you some of that time outside, which we know is so important as well. Just combining the two.
Time in nature. It can never be undervalued. It can never be overvalued. I mean, it's really key. Nature bathing, forest bathing, whatever the trees give off, whatever the streams give off, soak in it, bathe in it. Because in our confinement, in our Wi-Fi laden, tech laden environment, heating, everything, we can get a little bit bombarded with these frequencies, which are very different from the frequencies that come from the sun and come from touching leaves and getting your feet in the soil and gardening. So I think outdoor time is really, really key. And if you can train at the same time, do some sprints up a hill at the park, take your shoes off in the summer, watch out for the dog stuff, look before you run. But yeah, barefoot, outdoors, nature bathing, go out in the rain, go out in the cold, go out in the warm, go out in the sun, just get out there. I think that's part of a holistic lifestyle program. Get the food right, get the hydration right, lots of sleep, the right amount of exercise, learn about your own psychology, feel well about yourself, think positive. But a big part of that is walking and being out in nature.
And you've got some videos on your website that are free videos as well?
Yeah.
People can just...
Absolutely. So I'm just releasing, so the membership site, the Dojiva membership site, it's, if you look up restoreyourbody.com, restore-your-body.com.
I'll link to it as well.
Yeah, thank you. If you go to the blogs there, I think there's only 3 right now, but there'll be 6 quite soon. There's a sample from the Dojiva studio of each category. There's a strength training workout there already. There's a mobility and posture class stretch there already. Very, very soon, if not already, is one of the interval training classes. There'll be a meditation on there soon and a relaxation, maybe some other stuff as well. On YouTube, going back a while now, I haven't been active there for a little while. There's some short videos there, but there's probably 80 videos there of mine over the last, I don't know, I'm guessing 8 years of producing online videos. So go to YouTube, put in Danny Bridgeman, and they're not in any order particularly, but there's strength, there's interval, there's flexibility, there's functional, there's probably some relaxations on there and the mindfulness pieces. And then there's also, which you can put a link to if you want, anyone who's listening to this can have a 10-day trial of the Dojiva studio. Have a look at the membership site. You get the 4 live Zoom classes a week. You get an archive. I've recorded everything. There's an archive of about 120 videos and audios. And that's I'm happy for anyone to sign in for the 10-day trial and give that a shot. It's perfect for exercising at home.
And that's great, because the reality is, for people who can prioritise the money to pay for that, then fantastic, they're getting a great resource. But for those who can't, but can still use your trial videos,
the trial's there to try it out, and then YouTube there, that's all free. Those aren't going anywhere, and I'm gradually adding more to YouTube as well. Yeah.
You only need one, really, don't you? I mean, it's
repetitive,
but
yeah, you kind of build your own routine after a while. You find out what you like, try different trainers, try different disciplines. In martial arts, which is my background, my sensei's always said, try different styles out. Let's not be just focused on one style. Try different teachers out and find what teachings, what resonates with you, what feels right for you. And that's what you go into, and that's how you discover your best.
Yeah, that's really helpful. We're coming to the end now. Is there anything, any kind of final tips that you have, or words of wisdom?
Yeah, I think the summary would be to enjoy your body. We're here for a few decades. Let's make the most of this amazing form we're given. It may not be the shape you want it yet. It may not be the flexibility you want. Maybe some niggles, some aches and pains, but the body is magic. The body can transform given the right environment. We used to think we could blame our genes if we're going to get hip replacement, or we had big legs, or we had eyes that didn't work or something, or diabetes or heart disease, that we're going to get what our parents and grandparents, that was given. We know now that our environment, the thoughts we create, the foods we eat, the lifestyle practices we adopt, the exercise balance, the amount of sleep and sunlight, that our environment is far more key to our longevity. So if we strike a holistic balance and we're not quite the right weight or the flexibility, or we've got some health issues, almost everything can be challenged, can be changed, can be reversed. So I believe the body is magic. I believe that we need to get behind ourselves, get on our own side. So creating a good, positive image about the body. Again, even if it's not where you want it yet, still be with it. Honor your body as it is. That's a fundamental principle of my teachings, is honor your body. That's your ground to push off from. If you want to be somewhere else, there's no ground. You're spinning in place. Honor where you are. Stick with it. Put in some simple lifestyle practices. Speak to a nutritionist about food. Speak to a trainer about exercise, a psychologist about mind, and start to bring it together. And give yourself 3 to 6 months of trying something, and then build up and build up. And in a very short space of time, you'll be amazed at how you feel. Your strength can improve, your fitness can improve, niggles go away, flexibility improves, your weight optimizes, your energy goes up. And the same practices we do to improve our energy in the moment and our capacity and form in the moment, the very same practices are looking after our future self 10, 20, 30, 40 years in time. Let's look after the body now, and that's a good pension fund for our health in the future.
Brilliant. That's super useful, and finished dead on 7:40 as planned.
Well, perfect.
So, thank you, Danny.
Appreciate
That's really
it.
great. And I don't know if you can see it, but Laura, who's watching, has just popped up in the chat and said thank you. Very interesting.
Brilliant. Thank you, Laura.
So I'm going to end for all there, and
Right.
we'll pop this up on the Facebook page tomorrow and YouTube and everything.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care. Appreciate it. See you.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.